So,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to close your eyes and I want you to picture the oaks that you wanted to say all those things to. I want you to picture him as being there in front of you, and I want you to focus on his voice, focus on those features. And I want you to really. This is your chance to tell Oaks what you wanted to say, how you felt.
You know, every time I think about the old Oaks, I think about, I don't know if you ever saw it. I took a picture of him on our first day. Um, on our very first call, we uh we went to the casino. There was a car explosion. It was my first time also treating burns, coincidentally. And we had to wait for them to take a nap. And he was standing on top of the ambulance, and the exploded car was like behind him on top of the little like building in the center of the racetrack. And the sun was setting. It was like setting behind him, and I thought he looked really cool, so I took a picture of him. Um, and I think about that every time I think about the old Oaks. Like that's Oaks. Um, and every time I think about the new Oaks, I am kind of haunted by the image of how we found him on that hillside, and the moment when we got him to the surgery room and I just stood there watching. That's the new Oaks. But yeah, every time I think about the old Oaks, I think, like, even if now when you told me to think about him, I just thought about that picture of him like with the sun setting.
So I want you to take that picture and remember it. And picture that Oaks standing on that ambulance with the sun behind him. And he's looking at you. And he's waiting for you to tell him what you need to tell him.
Okay. Well, I feel I feel really weird uh talking to like him instead of about him. It feels like it feels weird. Okay. Um Before we actually met, Um, I was I was given the impression that you were really like intimidating, or um kind of like you straightforward, and you even told me that yourself, that you're gonna be, you if I fuck something up, you're just gonna tell me. Um, yeah, I was given the image that you were gonna be really intimidating, kind of like, but nice, like on the inside, and that's the only expectation I went to um before we met. I thought that I was not gonna like you as a trainer, sort of like, because I'm very sensitive. I can't handle people being mean to me or yelling at me. And then we trained on that my first day. Um, because there were no, I don't think there were any other trainers. So I went with you, and I was very nervous about it. And our first call happened. It was my first ever burn victim one, so I was nervous about that too. And the medical was kind of easy. They weren't injured too bad, and I treated their burns while I made jokes with them back and forth. And you quietly observed. And when we left, you had a lot to say to me, none of which I expected to hear. Especially with the first impressions that people gave to me about you. And you were really nice to me. And you told me that you felt like I did a good job with the scene. When you went into detail, like great detail about the specifics, like exactly what I did right. Um, Basically complimented me to high heaven. I like genuinely teared up because it's not what I expected. Because I'm terribly self-critical of myself. Even if I do something well, I feel like I could have done better, that I should be better. Every time every time I leave a scene, I feel like I did something wrong and just can't figure out what it was. So I like start hyper analyzing what I did, in like what parts I did wrong instead of what I did well. But on the couple days I trained with you, when I did something right, you would let me know, you would point it out, and basically made me feel like I'm not a total fuck up. And that's something that the other trainers have I've been with haven't really been doing. Like I get feedback like, okay, like this, you know, this thing, like you could do this instead or whatever like that. But they leave me guessing on what I actually did right. So I criticize myself for all of it. But you told me exactly what I did right. So I didn't have to do the guesswork. I could just be like, okay, so I did this right and I can feel good about it. So I can concentrate and put all my efforts into the things that I could be better at. And I think that's the reason why you were my favorite trainer. And I'm sad that I never got to tell you when it mattered. And I was going to on that fateful day. I was going to tell you, but I was busy with my fucking my thing that I I had to take care of. And by the time I was done, you went 42, and 7 hours later, I found you on that hillside. And I at a state where I couldn't even recognize you until we were in the OR. And I genuinely thought I would have time to say later. I genuinely thought that there's tomorrow. And I really, really wish I would have just told you, even if I was busy with something. Because I really appreciated having you as my trainer. And whenever I had questions or worries, you would talk about them to me in depth and gave me advice. And that meant a lot to me. A lot more than you probably thought it did. And I wish I could thank you for it. Like, properly thank you and for it to matter. I think I think after some time it's gonna be okay if you don't remember me. I think I'm gonna be okay. I have to be okay with it. And there will be a day when I'm okay with it. And I still appreciate the time you borrowed me in the first place. The time you took to train me and make me feel good about myself. Because that really hasn't happened a lot since. And if you truly don't ever remember me and you move on to other things, and I have to move on, then I have to say goodbye. So, goodbye, Oaks. And thanks for training me. This is officially my crying hill. This is the hill that I go to cry on
It's okay.
in front of other people who have never heard me cry.
Take as much time as you need.
It's definitely gonna hurt for a while.